I tried pausing and that thing didn't work. So I think where I was there are 5 definition types, there are 2 modes. And so originally, this was the way it got presented. And then later, Ra edited it to say you only need the 4 types, that is reflector, projector, generator, and manifestor. And only the manifestor has a design to do. But he had generator as having energy. And what he would say is this was a repetitive type of energy, always buzzing, zzz, that energy was a motor that was constantly on. And so this was that suggestion to wait to respond. So somebody talked Ra into saying, okay, a generator also has a design to wait. But we were very clear with the Zen human design charts that it could be a sacral definition to the throat. And in that old language, or his newer language, it was a manifesting generator or a generating manifestor, whichever you wanted. But they are different, and we separated that out completely from the revised types to when I would look at a chart, if I see a sacral center is a motor. If I see a sacral definition that connects to the throat, this is having a design to do. Now, I think waiting is something that benefits everyone, not just generating manifestors or manifestors. Everyone, when we're looking at solar plexus, throat, we also see a kind of a waiting. It's a little different, but how the awareness works is very important for somebody who has the solar plexus throat. That kind of waiting is also something that the waiting is something that the person is benefited for being clear about an action before taking an action. Now, what you want to know for you is you have to observe how these differences work, either doing or waiting. Does that somebody with the design to do trample on people, or is it something with the design to wait that the person suffers not getting it together? Now, both could be the case. That is not the most critical, in being first off, that if somebody has a design to wait, this is for that person an education. And so you have to understand what waiting is how one is benefited by waiting. So I already described the splits. If you see that one area of definition can do motor to throat, and 2 or 3 or 1 area does not connect to that channel. This is the reason that Zen Human Design would show you to wait in gray, or that box marked gray, to say there is a kind of waiting. And what is that waiting? It is waiting for a connection. It could be waiting for recognition. It's very critical that you see how that second area or third area of definition works. Now, it could be that a sacral definition is separated from the doing definition, and so you could still have the same generalized waiting to respond. And so it's important that you see how the different areas of definition operate. Now, I just spent a while with a student on understanding how bridges work. This is somebody with the triple split. One part, actually 2 areas, have connections to do, and 1 area has a sacral definition split off, and 1 area, head ajna, has another third area separated from the different parts of the design. So in Ra's old language, if you see a channel like head ajna that does not connect to the doing, this is an indication of something in the person that needs recognition. So the recognition is also, I'm a very big advocate for what we ourselves can do, how observing ourselves and how the mechanism works is far more important than being told you have to wait until somebody recognizes you and permits you to speak. You know, all that stuff. I think we're out of the speak only when spoken to. That instruction is not so helpful. Like, we're here to be grown-ups. You speak when you feel like saying something, but if the other person does not listen to you, this is you paying attention to the way it works. Now, the next thing I will touch upon very briefly is in the bridging the 2 areas or more into a single definition. This is the beginning of what one needs to recognize in how conditioning works. Being connected because of a split is a chance to integrate. Now, the other thing I would just mention, there are 3 centers that are described as awareness. And so they operate differently. That is the spleen, intuition, ajna, the mental field, the solar plexus, the emotional field. Now, you must understand what that wait to respond is. That's the sacral definition. It is not the intuition. It is certainly, though, a very important guidance system. And so here, what I think you need to recognize is waiting until you feel good about something, until you feel strongly going forward. Anyway, the next lesson will be on the centers. And I do have a great class called Centers, Conditioning, and Consciousness that takes a couple of, well, I don't know, I think it's 20 hours or something. So that is a good class to identifying how centers work in your own chart, which is what is important. If you're going to speak with an authentic voice, it's because you've observed it, and otherwise you should ask questions of whoever's chart you look at. That person and you could be the expert. You know, I think each of us should be the expert in our own charts. We know better than anyone how the chart works. So I will go on with another lesson. I'm going to sign off right now.